See, a lot of y'all missing the whole point with this Shannon Sharp situation. Look, it's not really about if she's wrong, if she's trying to beat him out of some money or not, if he's guilty or not. I mean, I hate to see him in this situation, but that's not the point. The point is, why did he put himself in that position? See, we got to be smarter. See, a lot of people throwing this, pointing the finger at her, saying she tricking off, she wrong, she did. Man, look, he shouldn't have never been in that situation anyway. I mean, come on, 19 years old, 56. What do you guys have in common besides sex? So you just gonna continue to spend all this money tricking off with females who on Instagram or OnlyFans and put yourself in a position to be caught up like that. It's a lot of brothers out here like that with a lot of money. I understand, you can get caught up. It's a lot of great looking females out here. But when you get older, you're supposed to mature through life lessons. Come on, man, let's be real. Y'all never had sex before? Y'all never had a woman with a nice body? You done did that before. And you cannot tell me you done reached 40 years old, 45, and you think it ain't no older women that's 40, 45 that still look good. They all over the place, bro. And they educated. They got something to bring to the table. And they looking for good men like you who can bring something to the table. But y'all falling into the trap. Y'all want stuff that's so easy. All you gotta do is just pay and shit, do whatever you want. You're gonna find yourself 60 years old and by yourself with nobody who you built something with, somebody that really care about you. None of that. You're gonna find yourself in a scenario where you're gonna be in a hotel with one of these females. You're gonna have a heart attack or something. You know what she gonna do? She gonna break up out of there and leave you to die. Because she don't care about you. She only there for the bag. Come on, man, we gotta be smart. We can't make the bag and give it away thinking with the small head, and she thinking with her head. So she gonna outthink you every time. Because she thinking up here, you thinking down here. You got a one-track mind. Nail her. That's it. That's the lesson behind all this shit. Man, look, it ain't got nothing to do with if she's guilty of trying to beat this man or not. Or if he raped her or not, or whatever, all these allegations that she throwing out there. It's bigger than that, because it's a life lesson for us. Some of you guys gonna run into some money. What you gonna do with it? Some of you guys got money right now. What, you gonna continue to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars with Instagram and OnlyFans females? Are you out your mind? That's money, man, you can put back in your community where you come from and help some people. You can help some kids go to college. You can help some people start a business. You can show some people with something, that can change their life with that money. That's the point in this. That's the point. I said this in the video, but a lot of people ain't getting it. They think I'm trying to tear Shannon Sharp down. People saying that that's the problem with the brothers now. We knocking each other. Man, this ain't got nothing to do with knocking him. This about us waking up and doing the right things. We got to be smarter.
Oh, you were finished? Oh, well, allow me to retort. Hey, hey, hey! It's Fun Albert, and I'm gonna sing a song for you. And Bill's gonna show you a thing or two. You'll have some fun now with me and all the gang, learning from each other while we do our thing. Na, 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 gonna have a good time. Hey, hey.
This is Bill Cosby coming at you with music and fun. And if you're not careful, you may learn something before it's done. Hey, hey, hey.
I've heard this narrative so many times that, when this guy was talking, I almost thought that it was a parody or some kind of comedy skit. But, he really was speaking this way. I love the measured tone, the robotic tone and shit as he, uh, read his cue card and shit, the invisible cue card of his pathetic life. Okay? I've heard this a bunch of times. I can't tell you how many times. I'm 56 now, and I'm older than this asshole, obviously. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard, uh, you know, his talking points, growing up and shit, from when I was a small kid and to now, he was the first person, him saying that in this video was the first time I had heard that shit in like 20 years, okay? 20 years and shit, and I don't expect any less of this male, okay? Not a man, he's a male, right? I love the underlying theme here is that you have to take a consolation prize, irregardless of your level of success and whatnot, and that you have no true autonomy and shit, despite any amount of wealth and mobility you may have in this supposed country, 3Ks and set. Okay? Do you really think that if this man had access to Shannon Sharp's uh, Merce or his pocketbook stuffed to the gills with millions upon millions of dollars of cash, that he wouldn't do the same thing? Right? He'd do the same thing and shit. And I had to guess that, I'd like to ask him what he's doing for his community and shit. And I would like to see receipts and shit. Also, I would like him to repeat this entire, uh, rehearsed diatribe, this rehearsed outrage, connected to a polygraph. All right? I'd like him to repeat all of this shit connected to a lie detector test and shit, and see if he actually believes any of this nonsense that he's saying, because he knows that if he had access to that amount of money, he would not he would not hesitate to get himself an influencer or some sort of prostitute, of some good-looking woman and shit that he could afford. Depends on your level of self-worth, self-respect and shit. And I'm not judging. Okay, I'm not judging this shit, but I'm tired of that consolation prize narrative that they give to us, all through our life and shit. They do this thing where they just badger the fuck out of you emotionally, verbally, spiritually and shit to get you to accept a consolation prize lifestyle and shit. And most of us are not living the lives that we want to live and shit. We're living for other people and shit. That's the only reason that public shame and believe your supposed black community can even work and shit, because you guys are acting like children and shit, okay? Babies. It's none of your business what a man does with his wallet and his penis and shit, okay? You're policing a man's penis and shit. You're talking to a man that can buy you 100 times over and shit like he's a 10-year-old child, okay? All right? No one has to settle for anything and shit. You heard Tracy Ellis Ross say that she dated younger guys because they were hot, because they're hot, okay? All right? I'm not going to get into the back and forth about that and shit. I'm going to tell you that you obviously are a bitch made nigga, okay? You're a son husband extraordinaire. You shouldn't be talking to any children whatsoever and shit, especially not in this day and age and shit. We need to have a different narrative and shit, okay? But first and foremost, you cannot tell a grown man who is your senior, your elder, what he can and cannot do with his own wallet and shit. What he can and cannot do with his penis. Okay? It's none of your business what a man does with his penis when he's sleeping with a legal adult and shit. Right? And it doesn't matter the details of the fucking case and shit. You rug swept every goddamn positive point that anyone can have regarding this nonsense and shit. And I'm put out by it. Okay? I'm put out and irritated, Alright? I love this consolation prize. We have to just take whatever's in the bargain bin, no matter what your level is, and half-eaten apple. Okay? No one's shitting on any older women or nothing. I want to repeat, you should not be giving any kind of advice out to any men of any age, any boys of any age. You're defeated. Alright? You're a defeated male. You have no true autonomy and shit. You're just puppeting a narrative and shit that's given to us by feminists over 40 plus years ago. Okay? You've been socially engineered. Okay? You rug sweep everything. You rug sweep everything. I'm going to repeat to you that a 56-year-old multimillionaire who can buy you 100 times over and any woman that you've ever slept with in your life, double that, does not have to account to his supposed community and shit. The community that doesn't live in. Okay? He doesn't have to account for anything to you. He's not a role model and shit. He's a employee. Okay? He has multiple platforms that she can choose to patronize his endeavors or not. Okay? Or not. And it's not going to change anything. He's going to wake up rich tomorrow and the day after that, and no matter what. Okay? You've got to stop that. The men that told you that, we don't have any solidarity, on this side of the gender line, we're speaking correctly and shit. Here you are, running your mouth, your pie hole and shit, and giving a conciliatory narrative that favors the female side of things and shit. And I'm disgusted. And I hate that shit, okay? Yeah, there's women out there, that have nice bodies that are probably his age and shit, but he doesn't have to choose them, okay? You and the other male feminists keep telling us that we have to choose and shit, that we're bound by some invisible moral code to accept a consolation prize, a participation prize in life, okay? Now I say fuck it and shit. I don't care about any of these goddamn allegations and shit. This man was paying a whore for her time and shit. And if anybody wants to bring up the fact that she was offered $10 million to settle out of court, his lawyers probably advised him to do that and shit to avoid a public scandal and shit and just get rid of her and shit. If he's offering 10 million and shit, well, how much do you think he actually really has and shit? Maybe he's told her how much money he's actually worth and shit, which is why she turned down the 10 million because her lawyer, the ethnic ambulance chaser, Tony Busby, told her they could go for the, you know, that brass ring and shit and just get paid out of her ass and shit. And Tony's gonna take 60 to 70% of whatever she would get in court and shit. So I think he fucked himself and shit. She fucked herself, but she's only 19 and shit. And I'm tired of this bullshit narrative that, you know, all of these women are strong and independent and, queens of the universe and shit, but, it matters below the belt and shit. They're delicate little flowers and shit, okay? I'm not here to talk about them. I'm here to talk about you because you're a bitch made nigga and shit. And I hope that you're wearing your maternity pads under that t-shirt because you're obviously lactating and shit, okay? You tuck your shit up in between your thighs, okay? Just have a beer, mound down there and shit, okay? Because you're a bitch made nigga, alright? I'm just really tired of being civil when I hear this bullshit, alright? You are a son husband, okay? You're riding in the baby seat, okay? You're hopefully secured in the baby seat in the back of this misandrous black female that's driving your ass around, to do these verbal drive-bys on, the men that you should have some solidarity with, okay? You need to do that, okay? It does not matter, okay? It does not matter. I don't want to, do the back and forth. I'm rubber, you're glue shit. And, if it was a woman saying this because we heard Tracy Ellis Ross saying that bullshit, all right? We seen Cher, with these young ass dudes and shit who took her ass to the cleaners too and shit. All right? We seen Madonna with young ass dudes and she looked like a fucking petrified mummy. All right? And I don't even get in the community and shit. We got all these old broads targeting these young athletes and shit, for their bag and shit. When you gonna speak on that? And if you are, I'm not gonna see it. I want to impress upon you that sex is a lower brain function, okay? It's a lower brain function and shit. And you are allowed to have a preference and shit, okay? You're allowed to have legal preferences, right? The woman in question, I'm gonna repeat this to you, is by law a legal fucking adult, okay? Legal adult and shit. And you really got a problem with these big age gap relationships between privileged men and women. You can just simply go into American history and you find go all the way back to the 1700s. You can find examples of these relationships and shit, these sugar baby relationships or whatever they are. or were or will be, right? But you will always be a dickless wonder. You know, you will always be a mentally non-binary, biological male, mental female and shit out there. Okay. Now, I know that was some word salad shit. I meant to say it better and more eloquent than that, but basically, you disgust me. Okay, I'm disgusted when I hear this bullshit. I want to say we need to stop doing this, but we're not. I'm a man, and you're a male. Okay, and it doesn't matter where I sit in this society. Okay, I would never tell another man the bullshit you just spouted out of your mouth, the conciliatory bullshit that tells us to settle for less and shit, with a shrug of your feminine shoulders and shit. Okay, with a shrug, you know, an apologetic tone and shit. Is you fuck over men and young boys and shit for all time to come and shit with this bad advice. Okay? You're a bitch. I'm not telling anybody to follow in Shannon Sharp's footsteps and shit because he is an op and shit. He's done a lot of shady shit, outside of his bedroom that gives me pause even making this goddamn video. But I take umbrage and offense that you would bring your ass on here, which you would switch your pussy over here and start giving out a shitty ass advice to these kids and shit. Okay? Shitty ass advice. I think you're more dangerous than what you're inferring about Shannon Sharp and shit. You and your sisterhood of effeminate, emasculated Negroes. Alright? One last thing. From the heart. Fuck you.
The Black Patriarchy. A non-existent group of fictional black male power brokers not discredited, erroneously jailed or outright killed by the minority majority who look the other way as they work tirelessly to shame, oppress, and outright take out the altruistic black female populace of the honorable democratic United States of America. 3K's inset bitches. These evil wealthy members of the black patriarchy are the sole reason for all the ills of the black community, walking, talking, holding down jobs, and doing everything up to and including giving their very lives in service to their baby mamas and baby's motherfucking kids. Their motto that strikes fear into the hearts of black women everywhere: bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.